Of course, the big story of the week is what we've been discussing in the first hour of the show, the death of Robin Williams. And, of course, it's opened up the discussion about suicide and about depression. And I suppose if there's any good to come out of his untimely and tragic and sad death, it's that people are, in fact, talking about important issues like that. Joining us on the line is Gary Dierenfeld, our resident social worker. He was with us in the first hour, and he's back now. Gary, this is a very sad story, but, this type of story plays out every day in the United States and in Canada, and the faces are more anonymous than Robin Williams. It's terrible. Absolutely. It's very terrible how much depression there is out there. Give us a bit of a perspective on some of the things that, and some of this is speculative, I'll grant you, some of the things that Robin Williams was dealing with, you think?
Oh, my goodness. Well, first of all, this story has so touched a generation of people. I'm not sure how old you guys are, but I feel like I grew up with Robin Williams.
Me too.
Yeah,
I mean,
so do I.
I go back to Mork in 1978, and it was Happy Days before that. That character was spun out of that show. I'm 48 years old. There's a lot of us that feel like we grew up with him.
So because we felt so connected to this man, and because of his comic genius, you don't just know this guy, you kind of just love this guy.
Yeah.
And when we look at the dichotomy between the fact that he was a comedian, yet suffered depression, it's hard for us to wrap our head around. And so what people have to realize is, we have to separate our vocation, what we do for a living, versus how we live and how we feel about how we live. And those things are very different. And our internal life, how we feel, is just that. It is internal.
Right.
And unless we demonstrate it, speak about it, externalize it to others, you know what? None of us knows what lurks behind the veil of the next person.
But the thing about depression, and I've been public in the past on the air about my own battles with depression. The thing about it is, and I said this earlier in the show, it's an illogical disease, and people try to apply logic to depression when they look for answers as to why a Robin Williams would take his own life, or why a sister or a brother or a sibling or, a mother or father took their life. It's not logical. The brain doesn't fire properly. So all the external things that are there that, say, what reason does this person have to be sad? They don't apply, right?
Jamie, you've just stated it about the best that I've ever heard anyone state it, quite frankly. So I'm going to repeat what you said. This is not about logical. Depression is an illogical kind of disorder. And people apply their logic to it to try and understand it, and that's where it breaks down. That's why people can't empathize.
Right.
So, man, did you ever nail that one? People do have to appreciate that this is not something we have control of. People sometimes look at the depressed person and say, pick yourself up by your own bootstraps.
Right.
What you got to realize is, not only do I not have bootstraps, I don't have boots.
Right, or the energy to even put them on. I'm that debilitated. I'm that locked
correct.
in my own internal demons and fears. And
So the other way that I explain to depression to the uninitiated or uninformed is, imagine you're in a pool that only has a deep end, and to survive, you must continually be treading water.
Yeah,
that's a very good way to put it.
It's exhausting. And to move from one end to the pool, there is resistance because of that water. Now imagine you have some big fat slob at the other end who wants to do a cannonball into the pool.
Mm-hmm.
And you anticipate the wave. And because you can't touch bottom, you're exhausted for having tread water, you are fearing being overwhelmed, being overcome. That is depression at its worst. That was where Robin Williams was at. Whatever his wave was, he felt that he couldn't surpass it.
Yeah.
When we send folks to treatment, when we send folks for help, what we're trying to do, theoretically, if you will, is pull the plug from the bottom of the pool so the water level lowers. So whether that's medication, counseling, or a combination of counseling and medication,
right,
we're trying to lower the level of the water in the pool such that the person feels that they can finally touch bottom. So we're not out to make you happy. We're not trying to say, depression is the opposite of happy.
Mm-hmm.
No, we're trying to help stabilize your mood such that you can get through life without that resistance. And when that same person dives into the deep end and does that cannonball, because the water level has been lowered to your belly button, the wave that's coming, even though it could have been the same wave as before, now it feels manageable. So we encourage people, see your physician as a first point of entry into the healthcare system, discuss medication. I have many folks, they self-medicate, drugs and alcohol.
Yeah.
And then I say, you should be on an antidepressant. And they say, I don't want to take drugs. I say, well, wait a minute. Do you not see the contradiction here? You are taking drugs.
Speaking as somebody who's been down that road, I agree with you, Gary, that the combination of some medication, but cognitive behavioral therapy is just a huge thing. The talk therapy is what pulls most people through. You're not going to do it alone on Big Pharma. It'll pull you out of an acute situation for a while. I've got some pretty strong opinions about Big Pharma and antidepressants that I won't get into today. But the part
that I want to leave you with on this is when I see folks who are self-medicating, drugs, alcohol, these are self-defeating strategies.
Yes. True. Very true.
Completely.
People to engage
Absolutely.
In that. If you do need something pharmacological, at least use something that's prescribed and known typically to have a beneficial effect.
And can be monitored closely through a medical practitioner.
In conjunction and/or is the cognitive behavioral therapy that you spoke about. This is therapy. Depression is all about affect, how we feel. Cognitive behavioral therapy is to help us moderate how we feel by managing how we think.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to take us
strategies to teach that.
Yeah,
and
we've
I'm
only
going to
got a couple minutes.
We only have a couple minutes, taking us in a different direction, looking at those that can help people with depression.
Well, there aren't enough of them, and that was the next point. Everybody says get help, but there aren't enough resources because we're not talking about it enough day to day, and because we're not putting enough pressure on the people that make the laws and that fund the healthcare system.
Okay, but
that's the truth of the matter.
Okay, fair enough. But I'm talking about the day-to-day. Those that
a little bit of anger there.
Those that you're, a lot. And I get it. But those that are living with people with depression. Someone actually said to me this week, I can't believe his wife couldn't do anything to help him. And I actually took great offense to that because maybe she didn't know how bad it was. Or
what was she supposed to do?
That's what I'm saying.
It was an internal. It's an internal battle.
In on this conversation.
Yes,
okay,
please.
We've got a minute.
Two quick points. Mental health is the poor cousin in health care, so we do need more funding. And number two is depression is a marital and family issue, and our partners and families need help to cope as well, and that is through an educative therapeutic approach.
Thank you. That's excellent information.
Absolutely. So much. I mean, we could spend 3 hours.
We don't have enough time.
On this topic.
Exactly.
But I know Gary, as a regular guest on the show, we will talk about these things.
It'd be my pleasure too.
From time to time. In the meantime, thank you as always for your insight here this morning. How do people get a hold of you again?
Go to my website, www.yoursocialworker.com, and I have some good articles that I've written there about depression as well.
Very
Excellent.
good. Gary Dierenfeld, good friend. Thank you very much for this.
All the best, guys.
Take care.
Enjoy your Sunday.
Bye-bye. There's Gary, and he's a smart guy.
He is.
And he helps a lot of people out. We're going to continue with our program here, Sunday Brunch.